these are some of the drills that you're looking at that they do wearing the breathing apparatus.
Yeah.
And they're at that point worried about air conservation, trying to control their breathing so that way they're not consuming all the air in the tank. They're going to simulate a grain dust explosion in a smaller scale here.
Ready? 3, 2, 1.
Let's do another downfighter, which is just right around this space. Hand them off to a third firefighter, where they have to make the transition and go down the ladder safely. This is all while wearing full SCBA, trying to maintain radio communications, broadcasting your location, any maydays that may be issued. Vehicle extrication course, really good instructors out of Algoni there. They do quite a bit on the number 1, but their main goal in this course is to also teach them the basic skills where if something happens, the modern extrication equipment that we use that are hydraulic powered breaks down, is how do you still do your job? So they use a lot of pneumatic tools, manpower tools as well to still accomplish the same thing. It may take a little bit longer, but you always need to have that plan B or plan C in your toolbox. So what they're going to do is they're going to let them get real good and hot. Typical with any vehicle fire, we're concerned about the ground fire at first. If we can, and if the department's capable of, we'll apply a Class B foam. And what we're trying to do is, especially if there's any vapors or fuel on the ground, we're suppressing the vapors from coming in contact with the ignition source and the oxygen. So you're taking out the ground fire, they're going to try to approach at an angle, staying away from that bumper. Pretty much where we're standing here is not a good spot, because if the fire progressed to the point where it detonated the shock absorbing bumpers, I have seen bumpers detonate and come out this far. So you always approach from the side of the car if at all possible. Right now they're currently attacking the ground fire application. Once they get that to a manageable level, they're going to progress to the passenger compartment, the engine compartment, or the trunk, wherever the bulk of the fire is, or directed as by instant command. Now you just seen a window get taken out. There's some pretty dramatic events, especially once the airbag assembly gets hot enough it hasn't been deployed. It will deploy and probably cause a little bit of a butt pucker moment there for the firefighters sometimes, especially for the newer firefighters. But something to take into consideration. We got tires that will detonate and pop as well, and it'll actually dump 1,500 gallons of water in there in less than a minute by using the rear chute dump. So we then stick the suction hose in there, and we draw the water from that tank and into the components, how to properly set it at the proper angles. What you see, the two people inside closest to the garage doors, that's what's called heeling the ladder. They want to keep their hands to the outside rungs. You know what a rung is, you know what a rail is, and you know what
But like we're talking about, if you're right in front, if this thing was to bolt forward, what's going to happen? It's going to go right over top of me. You're off to the side. If it decides to bolt forward, I might get clipped by the shoulder, or if I'm far enough over, it's going to go right on by and it won't bother me. They'll be gone. But the main thing is your safety, so you don't have to worry about that. Just usually little things is, well, with cattle, you always want to lead around the animal. You don't want to pull the animal around you, because then it has more control. But if you're always kind of on the outside of it, you're always pulling it in circles, so you're walking on the outside of it with cattle. With horses, they tend to work them a little bit different. You know, a lot of times you'll stand in the middle and you'll get them. You know, you'll see the guys, they'll start swinging the end here. You know, they'll get them to run around them and different things like that.
You see a hopper bin assembly up top there, and what happens is that once the students, one of the students will go inside, will turn on the augers, and they'll actually bring them down, simulating being trapped in the grain. There's a grating that's on the bottom, so typically they're only up to their hips, entrapped in the product. But it just really gives them a feel as to what it feels like for some of the patients that are entrapped in this. So a lot of confinement, constriction, thermal loss as the grain is drawing all the heat out of your legs. So a team of 3 effectively goes up there and mitigates the situation by making contact with the patient, do an assessment on them, see if they're breathing okay. Once that's in place there, they're going to actually take some grating and they'll put it on top of the grain or the product to prevent it from tapping in closer around the patient. Once that's in place, we use a series of 4 connective concave pieces of metal, which is called a cofferdam. Now this will go around the patient and keep all the grain from coming into contact and compacting around the patient even further. Once that's in place, that's set in place by 2 rescuers, we'll actually have a little miniature auger that we're going to stick inside the cofferdam and use a impact cordless drill. It'll actually displace the product from around the patient, relieving them of any further compaction or injury, and then we can successfully extricate the patient out. The compaction is such in this particular type of environment that we just cannot pull on a patient because it'll actually tear limbs apart. You're just in there that bad. You'll dislocate limbs quite quickly. So some of the props that we do see here is the difference between the weight of pulling on a regular limb. You'll actually bury the limb in some product and you can see on the fish weight scale the difference in the pressure as that limb is buried in. No different than this here prop is simulates flaxseed and how quick somebody can actually become entrapped in a product. So you just basically turn it on, and once it starts to funnel through, it's amazing how quick that somebody can become trapped. Oh, there we go. So we teach a lot of the students about a little bit about the background in agriculture. We're concerned about the different types of products, such as flaxseed that is very, very oily, the area of repose, and how the grain is dispersed with the different types of products. So these are all things that we need to take into consideration when we're actually trying to perform a rescue with a person that's entrapped in this type of environment. Now this could happen in a grain bin, it could happen in a transport truck trailer as well. So there's many different areas that this could happen in.